right, we're jumping in here. This is episode 6 of Idiot Savants with your hosts Nate Fontes and I, Bernie Sanders, and we have a very special guest tonight, Caleb Dunlap. What? I'm stoked. Pretty much, he's another brother of ours, and I'm just excited to have him on the podcast tonight. Go ahead and spit some history, Nate, about Caleb, how we met him, and
I think we met Caleb. What band were you in when we met you? I don't even remember.
Excuse me, Moses.
Oh, yeah. Okay, well. I feel like he became one of our best friends. He started going to our church, which I was thinking about it the other day. We didn't really have a lot of outsiders that late in the game join the church. Typically, you grew up in that type of organization, right. But he came in. He fit right in with us. We definitely formed a lifelong bond, and then when we had a time of need, our original drummer, didn't want to be with us anymore, so Caleb jumped right in and carried us to the next level. So,
yeah.
We are deeply indebted to him.
Yeah, Caleb, just amazing. I love him. He's like Nate said, he became a brother, and I just love how he called me up years later to join another one of his bands, and we just kept rolling. I'm working on a documentary, by the way, and it's going to have like our whole history and of how Caleb joined the band, and we already have his interview for it, and I'm excited for everyone to see it. And what do you want to say, Caleb?
Well, I'm excited to be here. I'm actually in Atlanta right now, doing a show. It's not fun, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no problem.
What are you doing? There's a show here in Atlanta I'm got to do the records for next few days.
Yeah. Caleb travels constantly for his job, and it kind of sucks because we never really hang out. He lives here in Dallas. We don't live far from each other. I never see him except for like twice a month at church. He plays drums. Yeah, he plays drums for my dad's church, and he holds it down for us. He's amazing.
Do you stay in hotels, or do you stay with people?
No, I stay in hotels. Yeah.
Living that hotel life.
Yeah.
It's not glamorous, I promise. Yeah.
Yeah, I figured it gets a bit taxing and old fast. Like it's exciting at first, and then it just one day you just don't want to do it anymore. And that's how I feel like it would go. I feel that's where you're at.
Just have different things, like if I go to San Diego, I'm gonna make sure I get this, this one specific sandwich every time I go, or something like that. You find different things in different cities that will kind of give you comfort, but it's nothing like getting to be at home,
right?
Especially coming back to an empty hotel room every day. That shit kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But it pays the bills.
Absolutely.
We for my job, I have to every once in a while, not as frequently as you are, go to a hotel, and it's always just it's like, I guess maybe you get comfortable with it after a while, but it's like a new bed, new place, new town. I think most recently I went to Chicago, and I'd never been there, but we were so far outside of the city that we couldn't even go to the city. So, and we were only there for like 3 days. So it was like finding things to do.
I'm excited to be here. I'm actually in Atlanta right now, doing a show. It's not fun. Yeah, well, I mean, even like a couple years ago, the first time I went to Vegas, the show that I was working was in the Mandalay Bay, and I actually stayed in the Mandalay Bay. So when I got there, I didn't go outside of the Mandalay Bay for like 6 days because everything was inside. I didn't need to go outside for anything. And then you go some places, like I go to there's a place outside of Chicago I'll go to, and I'll be like 45 minutes outside of the city, and it's literal like just nothing anywhere in sight.
Wow.
And it's just complete boredom.
That's probably how far out We were in like Schaumburg or Chambal, Chicago. I don't know, or Illinois, but yeah, it's right outside the city. But so what else is new?
Yeah, what's new, Caleb?
Who are you asking, me or Burn?
Caleb, I haven't seen you in forever, so.
Dude, I know dude. When is the last time I saw you?
I don't know. I'd have to really think about it. I honestly can't remember.
Honestly, the last time that comes to mind is when we played that Mansfield show that I drove back. Me and Skylar drove back for.
Wow, that's years ago. At this point.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, because then I think right after that we went to like youth convention or something and just like randomly played. Is that like the same time period, Bernie?
That's a good question. I'm thinking it's like 09 or 2010.
I think that's the last time we played together.
Yeah. That was the last time we played. It's crazy. Wow.
Yeah, a lot's changed. I have a 5-year-old now.
Yeah, see, it's definitely been more than 5 years because it was before that.
Yeah. No, it's 17 now, so yeah, it's been almost 10 years. I mean, it's been crazy.
That is crazy.
This is how I remember it. Like, we all lived in Florida, and we all kind of went our separate ways. And I think the last time we all hung out was at a show. We all went to a show together. Was it the who was playing? Some solid state band was playing. A couple, actually. Maybe Nate wasn't at that. It was just me and Bobby and you. I don't know.
Sleeper?
Oh!
No, it was no Sleeper.
Was that the Life in Your Way Wants Nothing show?
Yes. Were you at that, Nate?
I forgot about that show.
I think you left a week before that, and then we didn't.
Yeah,
we
I
did
think
too
it
much
was
after that. We all like kind of left on bad terms, and then like, I guess like a year after that, a couple years, we played one last show together, or something.
It's just a weird time. Like, obviously, no animosity now, but it was just like new environment, not feeling comfortable, not knowing what's going on, and like for me, I've always been the type of guy that's like planned things or tried to as much as possible. So to do things off the cuff or so spontaneous, it scared me to death. So but
I get that completely.
Right.
I did like going when we like the concerts. We would drive back and forth between like Tampa and Orlando. Those were fun.
Yeah. I actually watched one of those videos from one of the Tampa shows not too long ago. I was showing David, and he was just like...
Not having it?
No, not at all. He's like, how does... He couldn't fathom how we could be looking that stupid on stage and, bringing forth music, I guess. I don't know. He can't fathom it, I guess.
That's what most people say. They're like, how do you know what they're saying?
Yeah.
I'm like, well... I don't know. Like when I listen to Every Time I Die, and I'm like, oh, you guys got to hear this band. It's the greatest band of all time. They're like, how do you know what they're saying? I'm like, well, I've listened to him for so long that I know the words he's saying.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I remember the show in I don't know where it was at, but I know it was like I think it was in Tampa, but where that kid threw that bottle and it hit the top of my car.
Oh yeah. That was the on the little wooden stage out back, right? Yeah. Where was that?
Threw a bottle. I don't know what he was doing, and it hit the top of my Mitsubishi Lancer at the time, and I was like, "We're about to fight this kid."
I vaguely remember this. Like I keep talking. I want to remember this.
Well, I'm pretty sure at that time Bernie was hitting on girls, so he probably didn't realize that we were about to fight this kid because I don't know, over something stupid. Like he hit the top of my car. I want to say it was like a beer bottle though, so it's
right.
A little bit more, and I don't know. It's not like it was a nice car, but I think we were always looking for a reason to fight. I don't know why.
That's true. Bobby and Skylar were ready to throw down at any moment.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why I picked fights, because I knew they were gonna have my back. I was obnoxious about it too, especially in high school. I know Bobby and Chris, they got my back, so I can just act a fool. and no one's gonna mess with me. So
that is obnoxious.
yeah, it is. I think about my 18-year-old self, and I just cringe thinking about even I watch these old videos of myself, of us as a band, 17, 18, 19. I'm just like, I'm literally just cringing the whole time I watch myself. I'm like, God, I hate myself. I hate how I acted. I hate how I talked. I hate everything about it. I hate my hair. And what I wore and everything. So I just growing up.
Every female liked you. Most of males. So.
Most males. Is this true?
Most males and most females enjoyed your company.
Oh, well, I felt like an idiot. I can't, it's hard to watch, is all I'm saying. I mean, from those few clips that I've shown you guys, how do y'all feel about watching yourselves?
Well, here's the funny thing. The last couple of weeks or so, I've kind of had the itch to want to dye my hair just for shits and giggles.
I'm going to do it too.
And I haven't dyed my hair since we were in the band.
Right, same.
So front part or whatever.
Yeah.
Just blonde right there. We didn't know how to dye our hair, so
we all had the same do, pretty much.
We really did. I came across those promo pictures we took with that one dude, just like this past week, because I was on my PlayStation looking for something on a hard drive, and I found all those pictures.
You need to.
And I had,
On my phone.
dude, I had cuffs in my jeans that were like this big.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah. You need to resend those to me so I can post them. Maybe. But I'm thinking about dyeing my hair too for the vlog that I do. Just for my 31st birthday, I'm just going to do something crazy and stupid. And I can always grow it and cut it off, This is my thought on it. But yeah, we wore it back then because we were serious about it. Now it's kind of like I'm going to do it as a joke. So there's the difference, I guess.
Well, I think everybody was doing that. I feel like Josh Scoggins dyed his hair, and all Taco and all those guys. So
we did because
apparently that's what you got to do.
Pretty much.
Speaking of which, Caleb and I met him and hung out with him at one time.
Brag.
Yeah, not to brag. I mean, it was, I will say, it was kind of awkward. Just because we looked up to him so long, and we you don't know what to say to your hero once you're around him, and then, he's not like you think he is, and just all these things happening, and so you just kind of just observe him from afar. That's kind of what I did. I kind of walked up to another guy having a conversation to him, kind of joined the conversation, crossed my arms, like, yeah. Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah. Oh yeah, I've heard of that. And just and then I tweeted him afterwards. He never said anything. I'm like, gosh darn it. He doesn't know who I am. No. And I remember them giving Caleb a hard time about it because Caleb actually had lyrics tatted on his arm from Josh Scoggin. And we're
bringing that up, okay?
Yeah,
nerd.
Yeah, because and I felt sorry for. I was like, oh man, he does have the lyrics on his arms, and they're just berated him about it. Caleb, go up and show him your tattoos. He's right over there, and Caleb's you were seriously pissed. You're like, dude, just shut up. You're getting so annoyed. I felt bad for you. I was like, God dang it, Caleb. What are you gonna do?
Right. At that point, not much.
That's okay. I support that.
But did you show him? I don't remember.
No.
Okay.
I wasn't going to be that guy.
Yeah. But you never thought you would meet him,
No. Well, no, I never thought I would, no.
Yeah.
Let alone, date somebody he was close to.
Right.
Did you know that they were related?
Unfortunately, I did, which is why I was super awkward with her at first because, at this time, this guy was a huge musical idol.
Right.
Still is a musical idol, in that genre. And to look up to somebody and then to fall for somebody so close to him, it was a very surreal situation. And Bernie was right. There were a lot of awkward moments when you are hanging with him off stage versus what you think he is on record or on stage.
Right.
You know?
Right. Absolutely. Oh, he's whipping out the headphones. He's getting serious.
Sorry, I realized I had my headphones off, so I need to put them on.
But yeah, and we actually got to play on the stage that, like their home stage, the Chariot's home stage. We got to do that. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty cool.
And in Douglasville, just seeing everywhere like he was. I don't know. That was a weird period, I would say.
I have a real weird period.
I have a girl that, she is currently on tour with Every Time I Die. She's one of their, she runs the merch for another band. They're called Knocked Loose, but they're from Louisville, Kentucky.
Love that band. Love it.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Well, they're from Louisville, Kentucky. But anyways, they've toured with them a bunch of times. And she's dating the lead singer.
Hey, you froze, dog.
And she's on tour with them right now.
Okay.
But she called me. She called me. She said, "Hey," because I helped her out with like a MacBook return or whatever. She was having issues with a MacBook, so I hooked her up. Anyways, I haven't forgot about you. I'm gonna take pictures of everything they have, and you can pick whatever you want, and I'll get them to sign it for you. I'm like, well, you don't have to do that, but I love you so much.
You have to do that.
That's awesome.
And I went to, they played here in Louisville because, again, that's where Knocked Loose is from. So, like, Every Time I Die played here with Knocked Loose. And it was like, it was a really small venue. I've seen Every Time I Die in a lot of, I see them at, like, Warped Tour, which I would consider a larger venue. But, like, this one would be the polar opposite of that. Mm-hmm. And it was probably my favorite just time watching them. Of course, I would say that about every time probably, but it was so much fun. And then afterwards, I got to meet him because I didn't even know she was there. I didn't even know she was dating the band. I saw her, and I'm like, "Hey, you work for me?" She's like, "Hey, what's up?" And then I'm like, and I kind of knew that she hung out with band, and she told me she dated the dude from Knocked Loose, but this was a long time ago, and I didn't know who that was. I'm like, all right, whatever, but. And then, they're legit. They're really good.
They're like the best new upcoming hardcore band that's out, pretty much.
Yeah.
That holds down that sound that us three enjoy, like that particular hardcore sound, because there's so many like hardcore bands out now that I just can't stand because they're just so polished and
right.
tween sounding to me. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, yeah, so I met the Knocked Loose lead singer or whatever, and
dude, that's tight.
Maybe you I don't know. I maybe treated it weird because I didn't know who they were. So I'm like, I hate you because you're opening for Every Time I Die. Like I can't be friends with you. But, I mean, obviously I was super nice to him, but I was like, oh, just some local band. But then I heard them, and I was like, these guys are awesome. Like,
dude, they're legit,
And he did a couple songs with Keith in the band or whatever, and Keith came out and did a couple songs with them, because I guess it was one of their birthdays. I couldn't, on Knocked Loose's band or whatever. But I asked him, I was like, how do you feel about this? And he's like, dude, I don't, like, every day is another dream, man. Every day, like, I don't even know how to, I'm playing with Keith Buckley. He kept saying that. I'm playing with Keith Buckley. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, the modern day Jim Morrison.
Solidified my hate even more, but... it was such a great show.
That's the best way to meet people, is not know who they are and you act normal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the best way to go, I think.
Yeah, because I was there to see Every Time I Die. He could have played with like a third grade choir and I wouldn't have cared. But like, so I didn't know who else was there, and I was like Knocked Loose, and I saw that girl. She works for me, and I'm like, who are you here to see? She's like, Knocked Loose. I'm like, oh yeah, you like them? She's like, yeah, I'm dating the lead singer. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. She's like, do you want to meet him? I'm like, all right. I mean, whatever. Like.
I would have been geeking out. Nate's over there like, I don't give a crap. I probably scream better than this guy anyways.
I'm just here to see every time I die. But yeah, in the place where they were at was also a pizza place, so it was like really small. So they were literally, every time I die was sitting, it's two parts. It was a bar and then separated by a wall and then a pizza place. So while the other bands were playing, every time I die was next door playing pool. And you could go over there, so they were just hanging out and eating pizza and playing pool and drinking beer or whatever.
Heck yeah.
So
Nice.
it was really an intimate show.
Where'd you stand? Like when you
Kind of
watched?
off to the side. Now that I'm, I don't know. I just watch shows now. I try not to get too deep into it.
Same.
I don't want to get beat up.
Yep.
It was wild. Like that place was tiny, and they still got the circle pit going. Like it was insane.
Well, we saw Under Oath last year. First time Under Oath played
Yeah,
together.
I missed it, man. I hope they do more.
Dude, they're going to.
Yeah.
They're going to. They literally, I've seen them like 5, 6, 7 times easily. By far the best they ever sounded as a band, as musicians. By far the best they've ever played.
Agreed.
Yeah, that's what I heard. I think they're just passionate. They have the passion again. Like they love what they do, and I think they're having a good time. So that makes a lot of difference.
And they're not killing themselves doing 3-4 months on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that shit will kill you.
Yeah, hopefully they do more. I mean, I imagine they'll probably do hopefully some more music. I know that was like a one-off thing, but I imagine it was probably successful enough that they could do some more.
Yeah. They have like 3 or 4 more shows this year.
Yeah.
Then they're off the rest of the year. But I'm like, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for some new music. That'd be sick.
Before
They're amazing.
I want to say before we move on to something more serious, how would you feel about doing a reunion show, Caleb?
Cataract?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, I'd totally do that.
I mean, because we're working on this.
I'm out.
Oh no! We did one show without you, Nate, and it was interesting. I have it on video. So.
Do you really?
Yeah, I can send it to you if you want me to. I can send you guys all this.
Wait, was this when I was in the band or when I was?
You were in the band. It was me, you, Bobby, and Chris. And
Is this when we played at that bar?
Yeah.
Oh, I
In
remember
Cleveland, that was
I
like
remember
7
hearing
feet
about
off.
that.
Yeah. And I might put a snippet of that in the documentary, but yeah, we did only one show without Nate, and it was interesting for sure. But
It
wasn't the same band. I will say we need Nate, to be Cataract's
I
Fall.
appreciate it.
No, for real. You have a way better scream than I do. But
Yeah, we need to make plans. That scream doesn't just live here. I have to work on it. So
yeah, for sure.
I remember when we did the new songs that Bernie and I just did. I said, listen, like fly up here or whatever. And for like 2 weeks before that, every day on the way to work, on the way home from work, I was just screaming in my car, trying to get ready. And even when he came, because I guess people don't understand is that during a concert you're doing it one time. Yeah. So you may play for 30 minutes or whatever, but when you're recording, you're sometimes doing that same song like 6 or 7 times, and it. I would do it as much as I could. Like we tried to do all the singing parts, and then all the screaming parts, but
you did well. We did all the songs except one. I'm still waiting on those tracks.
I know. I started finish up. I did drive through Mansfield when I was back home. Or no, this was the last time I went there when my brother was home, and I don't know where people play now. I didn't really see. I saw like the coffee shop. I know people play in a coffee shop there, but. I don't know if they still play in that place that we used to play at in downtown. I don't know.
I don't think so. I know a couple of the guys that I'm still friends with that I worked with at Taco Bell when they were, because they played locally and whatnot there. They don't even live there no more.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like the scene there is completely dead. But that's probably where we would have the show, and I think people would come out to watch us just for nostalgia's sake. We'd probably get a good 30 to 50 people there, I think. But
I thought you were going to say like 10 to 15.
What's the name of that band that's like tours from there?
dude, you got me. I have no musical ties to that place anymore.
You talking about Tommy Hurstel band?
Yeah, why'd he leave?
His parents live in Florida now, and the band that he was in that toured out of there, they broke up a long time ago, and he was in this other band. You talking about the Gun Show?
No, there's another
No,
band
not the
there.
Gun Show. There was the one after that.
The one after that.
He played in a band where he played bass. They were actually not bad. I liked them.
No, I could probably find it, but yeah, he left that. He left the last band too, and it was like a rap core.
It was like Rage Against the Machine. Yeah, it was like a throwback. It's pretty cool. But I don't know.
Anyways, one of my ex-employees is now in that band. It's such a small world, but he
Holy
lives
crap.
here, and he's in that band, and he tours with them.
Well, let me throw this out. Like, what would be a better place to do it? Indiana or Ohio? I'm thinking Ohio just because
Yeah, I mean,
more people know us
Ohio.
from there.
yeah.
Probably. I mean, you guys would be a better judge of that, and you guys probably have way more friends on Facebook than I do when it comes to that.
But the thought is, this is what me and Nate discussed a couple months back. We want to do this reunion show. We wanted to get all the original members plus you together, but it's not going to happen with a certain person. It's not going to happen just because of what he does now for a living. It's not going to work out.
Right.
But everyone's on board. And I forgot to ask you, Caleb. But now that I'm asking you now, live here on the podcast.
So wait,
I want to get
everyone's on board?
I still need to talk to Bob. That's it. But everyone else is on board. You're on board. I'm on board. Caleb's on board. Chris is on board. And everybody, this would be a good opportunity just to bury some hatchets and actually, just document it. And, maybe it'd be like a great ending to the documentary. Just, just a nice seal upon.
Yeah.
Don't cry, Caleb. But, I don't know. I'm really pushing for it. And I think it'd be a cool idea. If we could find time to do it, maybe next year sometime. Just plan
Dude,
ahead.
after the first of the year, I am down.
Hell yeah.
1,000%.
When?
After the first of the year.
Yeah.
I have too much going on the rest of this year.
Yeah, I'm pretty much busy throughout the rest of the holidays. I have my vacation. My last vacation of the year is next week. So
You want to shoot for the summer of next year? Just a couple of days. We'll fly down, try to do a show, and then I'll obviously record it.
We could try to orchestrate it to where, we take a few days, right? So, because
Yeah.
ultimately we're going to need to practice together. At least one really good practice. We'll all practice individually, obviously, but get together, do a really good practice, maybe do an outing.
Yeah. Maybe find a local band that we can have open for us.
Yeah.
Something.
We can start looking into that.
But
Are we going to play 4 songs and be done? Or
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. I haven't even thought that far ahead about what songs we'd do.
Yeah. I think once we figure
No
out
Jesus
a
syndrome.
time. Yeah. Yeah, for show.
No Jesus syndrome. I that's my vote.
So
well,
what I'm
there went all
hearing
the
is
Indiana people coming.
I'm hearing only Jesus syndrome. All right.
Fuck you, man.
Now we can. I think if we post a event or something, then we can maybe, find out how many people would come, and then because we could always do it too as play and hang out and play, and it doesn't necessarily have to be.
Yeah, dude. We can
Just
do it.
hanging out with friends.
We can talk about it more later, but I just wanted to throw that out there for Caleb to see how he felt about it. But I think it's a good time to move on to what's actually been going on in our country this week. A very big deal. Everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty much bereft of words that can possibly convey how egregious this terror attack was this past week. Pretty much like the deadliest shooting in our history as a country. We saw pure evil that night. We saw a man descend into madness. I mean, I don't know. But in the midst of all that, we saw people helping each other in that. Hold on, my camera just went off. Sorry for the interruption.
I need to get your camera.
Yeah, it only records 30 minutes at a time. But I don't know if y'all saw those videos of people like helping each other, like victims helping other victims, like get out of there and dragging people out, and just risking their lives to help other people in the most terrifying event. And it's hard not to break down a little bit when you just you realize these people risking their lives for each other. I don't know. I thought that was crazy, and it kind of gives me hope for our country to see people like that helping each other in the face of this horror that we had because of a coward, basically. A coward who decided to take innocent lives, But
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I've been really, it's kind of been weighing heavy on my heart because it was obviously a huge tragedy. So, I've been writing because for me, I posted something on Facebook to the effect of like, my voice is pretty small, so all I can do is try to raise my son to understand that like that's not normal, and this current world that we live in, like this is not normal, and he doesn't have to grow up thinking that that's normal or that hatred is normal. So I'm like literally 1,399 words into this, and it's just kind of helping me process the information of like, a lot of people are asking the question, how did this happen? Why did this happen? What's the motive? I've been hearing conspiracy thrown around, and like, to me, some of those questions are the wrong questions to ask. And it's like, I feel like a better question is what do we learn, and how do we move forward, and how do we prevent this from happening in the future? Caleb, you had a good point earlier. You were talking about somebody you knew that was there. You want to share that?
I ran into a sound guy that I've worked with for the last 3 years today at Starbucks, and he was telling me about he was supposed to be working that event. He was supposed to be running the Monitor World, and 2 days before the event, he had to call him back out because they called his whole family in. His mom was in the hospital, and they called everybody in because she wasn't doing well, and she actually ended up passing like 45 minutes after he got there. And so it was almost kind of like she waited, which is, really cool. But he was saying the guy that took his place ended up getting shot in the wrist, and that another guy that he knew that was working the event, his mom was in attendance, and she was one of the people who didn't make it out. And when he said that, I was just like, I have cold chills in my body now, like just because you hear about it on the news and you see it all over Instagram and Facebook and whatnot, but then you hear somebody like firsthand that either A, knows somebody who was there, or B, was supposed to be there. And it's just, it puts, everything was already put into perspective and how grateful we should live on a day-to-day basis, because man, like, I can't even fathom like going to see Justin Timberlake and somebody come in and just start shooting the place up in the middle of something that's so joyous, and something that's supposed to bring unity and peace, no matter sexual orientation, religion, race. It doesn't matter. Everybody's there for the same reason, and it sucks to see one person have to ruin that for so many people, and not just ruin the experience, but affect so many lives for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Yeah, I think you change the way you live, and you change the way, like you said, that could happen anywhere. I think about, I'm going to like a Buckeyes game, and that stadium fits over 100,000 people, and how I recently went to a Bryson Tiller concert here in Louisville, and they even there you had to walk through metal detectors. And I think about how this happened and how we can prevent it. So I want to talk about not gun control. I just want to talk about gun laws. I want to talk about some of the things that I believe, and this is my opinions, they may mean nothing, and I'm sure it'll piss a lot of people off. But I want to talk about some gun laws that I think we could adjust, is a good word for it. I've had a couple heated conversations with people who, anytime somebody says, hey, we need to revisit gun laws, they automatically think, oh, well, you're going to try to take all my guns away. And A, that's not a decision I can make, but also B, I don't necessarily know that, I don't necessarily know that we could do that. Not America is an interesting place where that's so difficult. So a couple things, like as of this afternoon, 59 people passed away, right? Brutally murdered. And, they're so quick to say that this was not an act of terrorism, but because they don't, we think of terrorist, we think of a certain type of person, but this is an act of terror. This is domestic terrorism, and it should be treated like that. 527 injured. You say it weighs heavy on your heart. It weighs heavy on my heart as well. I'm sure many people. I'm sure there are, huge shout out to the people that stayed and helped, and the first responders, and the people. I saw people today lining up miles and miles in Las Vegas, ready to donate blood and give what they can. And as a father, I can't imagine waking up and being unsure if my son's alive, or worse, knowing he's passed away because he went to, like you said, an event that's supposed to be fun and supposed to be take you out of the everyday, I got to go to work, I got to make money, this is the one thing I can do for myself. I'm going to go to Las Vegas. That's where people have fun. I'm going to go to a concert. And then for this to happen is just, it is an act of terrorism, and I will not listen to anything other than that. And, I just remember thinking in my head, I don't want my son to grow up in a world where we refuse to learn from our mistakes. I've made mistakes. We've all made mistakes. And the one thing I can confidently say about myself is that I came out of it was a tough journey, but I come out on the other end much smarter, better than I did going into it. So I'll read you a couple things. I won't. This won't be a long thing, and interject whenever you want. But I tried to do a responsible amount of research. I tried to look through multiple sources. I didn't want to just take anything for fact, because I'll be honest, going into this, I've never owned a gun that's been registered to me, so I didn't understand that process. I've shot guns. I've been hunting. I've used guns, but that's all I did it for. I think the biggest thing I shot and killed was a squirrel. So I'm not an expert, but I tried to do as much as I could. What we found out, what I read today, and everybody's skeptical and different numbers on how many guns he had, but over the past year, Stephen Paddock purchased 33 weapons and thousands of rounds of ammo. He also has other weapons dating back more than 20 years. According to multiple sites, they were all purchased legally. He was able to purchase these guns legally. So my question, first of all, is why do you need that many guns? But again, I don't want to be the guy that's okay, well, let's limit the amount of guns. But then I looked into it. How many guns is too many guns, and how many guns are you allowed to buy? The answer is you can't have too many guns. You can have as many guns as you want. If you have the money and you can buy a gun, you can have as many guns as you want. There is no there's no monitoring system when it comes to how many guns you can have. There is also no you are not required as a licensee or a seller of guns to report any mass purchase of guns. We'll just say that. There are 4 states in America: Arizona, California, New Mexico, and Texas. These are all states that border Mexico, where you are required. The law only requires dealers and or pawnbrokers to report the sale if they sell 2 or more handguns to the same person at one time or during any 5 consecutive business days. They also require that you report long guns, so rifles. But it's the reason that rule exists is because they want to prevent gun trafficking and interstate gun sales. So we made that law trying to figure out how we can keep people from either giving guns to Mexico or selling guns to other states. So I put on here, like, most of these laws were created to stop gun trafficking. What about someone that has plans to carry out a mass murder? What laws do we have in place to prevent this from happening? I know murder is against the law, and for most people that's enough to prevent these types of tragedies, but what if they aren't afraid to die? This man was a non-threat when he killed or injured. And I put non-threat because by all accords, he lived a normal life. He wasn't on a no-fly list. He wasn't on a watch list. I did a little bit of math here, 33 weapons in a year. So I don't think I mentioned it. So basically, if you buy 2 guns, then you have to wait 5 more days and you can buy 2 more guns. And is it possible without being reported? Quick math tells you that it's certainly possible. You can actually buy up to 146 long guns in a year and escape any type of reporting. Now, before people say anything, I do understand, I've been doing a little bit of research, that some states have a waiting period. So when you buy a gun, you can't just immediately take it home, except Nevada. There's only one county in Nevada where you have to wait, and that's Clark County, which is where Las Vegas is, but I don't think he lived in Clark County. And it's only a 24-hour waiting period. That's the only county that does that. We currently have 36 states in America that there are no legal requirements for gun registration, no permit, no license necessary to purchase a gun or own a firearm. We currently have a few million privately owned guns in the United States that are registered to the federal government, and according to a 2012 estimate from the Congressional Research Service, there are as many as 310 million guns across the nation. But only a few million of them are actually registered. A recent study shows that while hunting was one of the most common reasons for gun ownership, self-defense is now by far the most common reason given when asked why you own a gun. Nevada is one of the many states where license registration to carry a gun is unnecessary. You do need a permit to carry a handgun, however. I couldn't find this, so I don't know if this is true or not. So that's the caveat I'm going to give. But I did read an article where in Las Vegas, the city limits, this could be wrong, somebody will tell me if it is, and I'll be more than willing to, because this is all terrible stuff to talk about. But other than a handgun, which you have to have a concealed carry license to carry in Nevada, you can carry any type of long rifle on you. You don't have to have a permit to carry it. You can just carry it. So if you want to walk down Main Street, Las Vegas, and carry a rifle, you can. You're within your rights. Now, most casinos, hotels, they have a sign on the door that says no guns allowed, but there is no federal law preventing them from doing that. There's no law to back that up. I will also, quick point, and then I'll make one final point here. Per 1,000 adults that live in Nevada, there are 29 and a half registered guns. Now, again, we're talking about registered guns. There's way more than that are unregistered. It's the 7th highest. The second highest is New Mexico. They have 58 guns per 1,000 adults. And then Wyoming it was ridiculous. It's 258 guns per 1,000 adults. It's outrageous. My argument is that I just told you a lot of things, a lot of different things from different states, and we talk about the right to bear arms. And then we have to figure out what that means. What did the founding fathers mean when they wrote this document 200 and I wrote it down, it's like 230, 250 years ago. Like, what did they mean? 230 years ago, they wrote a document, and then they wrote an amendment to that document saying you have the right to bear arms. The specific wording is a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. So some people would argue that that means that as a state, you have the right, if you feel like the government is infringing on your laws, to create a well-regulated militia for the security of that free state. And then other people would just read the part where I have the right of the people to keep and bear arms and shall not be infringed. We're talking about a document that was written when we had just gotten out from under a church ruling England, and we were super skeptical as a nation to just be like, yeah, let's start another government because we just got rid of one. So I understand why they wrote this, and I understand that 230 years ago that they did the best they could. 55 men took them all summer to write a constitution, and they knew it wasn't perfect, so they created ways to write amendments. And the Second Amendment is about guns and is about the right to bear them. But that was 230 years ago. They didn't have semi-automatic rifles. They didn't have the common problems that we live. You know what? It was like 120 years later that we decided as a nation, you know what? Maybe you can't own other people. Like, we have to continue to learn as a nation, and we have to continue to grow. And I think that there's no better time than right now to talk about guns, to talk about what. And the last point, like, when we talk about things that are as dangerous and life-threatening and in a blink of an eye can end hundreds of people's lives or disrupt hundreds of people's lives, not just the people that were killed, the people that got injured, the people around them, the people affected by them, the responders, the people donating blood. We're talking about it. Thousands, millions of people are disrupting our lives. When you talk about something that has that much power, I shouldn't have to figure out what the founding fathers meant. I shouldn't have to guess what they were talking about when they meant that you have the right to bear arms. We should be more specific. If I have to register my car every year, and I have to register my license plate every year, but most states don't even require me to register a gun, then I think there's conversations to be had. Like, I'm not the guy that's going to say, Australia, prime example, they had a mass shooting and they bought up all the semi-automatic rifles. And there's a site, I won't pull to it, but let me see if I can pull it up without losing. Did I lose you guys? Let me see if I pull it up real quick. We are 25 times, gun homicide rates are 25 times higher in the U.S. than any other high-income country. Finland is number 2. And I can send you guys this chart, but we're 25 times higher. Australia is like way down on the list because they changed their gun laws. They went through and bought everyone's guns. And
I guess I have a question. Like, what are you implying that there's a solution somewhere in the middle? Like, you don't want to take everyone's guns away, but you want to have regulations. Is that what you're?
I understand both sides.
Yeah.
I don't have a gun.
Yeah.
So I could easily live without a gun. I don't need a gun. The reason why people feel like, at least the people I've talked to, not everybody, again, it's high on the list. Some people just like to hunt. I get that. Keep your guns.
I'm just saying, like, are you trying to like say that you don't want to take everyone's guns away? So you just want to have regulations. That makes sense.
I think there should be regulations.
Like a driver's license. Like you're required to have that. You're required to take classes. You're required to, go through a process to get that privilege.
I think we're not naive to think that the gun lobbyists don't run a majority of our country. So there's a lot of money involved in guns, and there's a lot of money that gets sifted around. So I think that this utopia that some people, like the far left, want to live in, where there's no guns, I don't think that's possible. But I think, to your point, we can find a common ground. Like, you should have to have regular mental evaluations to own a gun. Like this guy, again, we're talking about a guy that on paper, yeah, I'll give him 33 guns. I'll give him guns because he's perfect. Yeah. He works. He owns businesses.
He's a normal guy.
He's contributing to the overall goal. Yeah, let me give him as many guns as he wants. But why is that the law? Like, why can anybody just own as many guns as they? Why does he need 33 guns? So
I'm just trying to figure out, what you're trying to.
I don't know the solution. This was
right.
writing. Like, honestly, I don't know. I think that at the bare minimum, whatever we decide, all 50 states should have to follow that law. Not Nevada gets to do whatever they want, and Texas gets to do whatever they want, and Kentucky, and that can't happen. Like,
I think on both sides there's a lot of fear. The left's afraid of just getting shot up, which it's warranted. After this past week, and then you got the right who's afraid. Like, I just want to have a gun, for various reasons, and they're afraid it's going to get taken away. And I think the solution is somewhere in the middle with both sides. With both sides, it's like either or. It's either no regulations, or it's too many regulations. And I think there's somewhere in the middle. There's a solution, and the time's now to talk about it, like you said, and what you're alluding to, like. I don't feel like you want everyone to be gunless, but you don't want everyone to just. There's got to be some way.
We have the poster child for being able to have guns just killed dozens of people and injured hundreds.
Right.
So if he can do that, and he seemingly is a well-adjusted, mentally stable person, and again, I'm just telling you based on paper, obviously he is not. But based on paper, based on the regulations that we have that say you just have to pass a background check. Okay, well, for those people that went their whole life without, getting in trouble, that's not enough. Like, obviously the background check is one step, great. But I think a yearly registration minimum, I feel like it's all about money. So a lot of people are going to say, well, it just costs more money. But yeah, that's what this is all about. You buying more guns, the people you buy guns from have to pay taxes to the government, and ultimately that's what it's all about. Don't get confused. They only have laws where you have to tell the ATF in 4 states. And it's the states bordering Mexico, because we don't want guns going from America to Mexico. Okay, but what about the other states in our fantastic, amazing nation? I totally believe that. What about the other states? What about me? I don't own a gun. What about me? What about my 5-year-old son? Does he have to grow up? Do I have to get him a gun when he's of age? Do I have to feel like, hey, you're going to go to that? Justin Timberlake will be probably not playing when he's old enough, but do you have to go to that whoever is popular at that time? Take your gun with you. Don't leave the house without your gun.
Justin Timberlake's gonna outlive all of us. All right, motherfucker.
You're right. Yeah, I think you'll be watching Justin Timberlake, and that's the fear. That's the world I don't want him to live up in. Or grow up in. So, no, figure out a middle ground. And I think some sort of mental evaluation. Another thing, let me tell you about another real quick thing.
All right. And then we got Caleb talk.
Video. Oh, my bad. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I said after you make your last point.
Oh, okay. I watched a video today and about how easy and simple and cheap it is to make semi-automatic rifles. What's the word I'm listening? Automatic rifles. The parts to achieve this goal are legal. Now, you making your weapon an automatic, I assume, is illegal. Somebody will tell me otherwise. But who's going to stop you from doing that when the parts are so readily available, and sometimes it doesn't even require parts, to turn your gun into a fully automatic gun? And then, we talk about extended mags. I feel like with a handgun, if I can't achieve the desired effect with the limited amount of bullets that comes in that gun, then I probably shouldn't be shooting a gun. Why in America do I need to fire 50 to 100 rounds in a minute? Why is that necessary? I don't think it is necessary. I don't know. I mean, that's just some of the thoughts I've been having.
I mean, I definitely agree with, like, you know, the whole extended mag thing and stuff like that. You know, that's military purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like, that I don't see the purpose of somebody needing, you know, 50 to 100 rounds just to go target practice or whatever. Yeah. But I'm not going to say too much on it because I don't really have I feel like I don't have too much of an opinion because A, I haven't done the research, and B, I personally don't own a gun. But I do know, like, you know, I grew up, my grandpa carried a .38 Special everywhere he went. May not have been on his side, but it was either in his car or, you know, in his nightstand, just ready to go whenever. So I grew up with that sort of gun atmosphere, if you will, but my grandpa had that gun, and I think he had like one rifle that was up on a shelf displayed. You know, wasn't loaded, wasn't anything. It was more of a shelf piece than it was anything. Yeah. And you know, and then there are people who are 100% against it, and they have every right. So I understand both sides, like you said, but the thing I don't understand is how easily it is to buy a gun, but there's so many more laws elsewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes to alcohol or legal marijuana, or you know, so there's so many. They have such a handle on those things, and they say those things, you know, kill people. Well, I know people kill people. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just it's all fucked up, and I think no matter what laws get put into place, anybody who really desires to have that act of terror, they're going to do it no matter what.
Yeah. I think you're always, you know, the goal is to make it harder or to prevent, right? I hate that we sometimes are reactive and we react to situations. The horrible thing that happened in Orlando, the terrible things that happened at, I don't know, various schools around the country where people just go crazy. We had a guy at the Ohio State University this past year that didn't have a gun, but he drove people down with his car. So, like, I understand that, like, people are crazy and they're going to find a way. But we allowed this gentleman to take anywhere from, the numbers vary, between 15 and 20, 25 guns into the Mandalay Hotel, and no one questioned anything, like him by himself carrying 10 suitcases up to his room. Now, I don't necessarily know that that's an everyday, as an employee of that hotel, I don't think that's their fault, like, other than to maybe the managers need to put in place some sort of like metal detectors now, and I imagine they will, because again, we're a reactive country. Well, this is the perfect time to get ahead of this. Like, again, the founding fathers wrote this. We're talking 230 years ago. Now, let me switch gears a little bit. I'm 30 years old, and I'm kind of at the point where there's some parts of the Bible that I'm like on board with, and there's other parts that I'm not on board with. But it took me a long time to get to the point where I would even have that conversation. Because if you would have had that conversation when I was little, I'd be like, no, it's in the Bible, it's true, F off. Like, I'm not even talking to you about this. And that book was written and rewritten over the past 1,000 years. Like, we're talking about a constitution written. 55 people wrote this, spent all summer writing it, and they knew it wasn't perfect. I imagine if even some of those people were here, they'd be like, what are you guys doing? Like, yeah, adjust it to your time. Like, we didn't have semi-automatic rifles. It took us 10 minutes to load our gun, so there wasn't mass murders weren't happening. Like, this guy had extended mags or clips or whatever they call them, and automatic rifles, and within minutes, like, the police were fantastic from what I read. Like, within minutes they were on him, and he still did almost 600 people, like injured 600 or killed 600 people, like, within minutes. So, like, to your point, Bernie, like, I don't know the solution. I think I wrote it on here, like, we're so quick to say take the guns away, or now because of this I need more guns. Like, that's the other argument, right? But I think there's got to be something in the middle, and ultimately I think Trump has an amazing opportunity here to make a legacy out of his presidency, which up until this point, it's not for me to say, but my opinion, it's not been great, right? He has an opportunity to create a legacy for himself, and it could be a positive one, or we're just going to continue to be reactive, and we're going to react to situations as they happen. I was not too young, but I was a freshman in high school when 9/11 happened, and I didn't really have a whole lot of opinions. But this is awful, and I have opinions, and people should have opinions. And be careful about what you read. I had somebody earlier that was like, oh, it's all conspiracy. Like, go out and do your research. Conspiracy or not, real people died. Real people suffered. If the government set it up, shame on them, but real people passed away from this. And people and things need to change. People need to say something.
People are still suffering and going to be suffering. They're affected. Like, we were talking today, one of the guys that I met here in Atlanta, he was talking today. He said, dude, if I had been there and I had seen all of this happen and I made it out alive, he said to this day, he said, I would have probably been in therapy every day.
Yeah.
I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
I met a woman in New York a few years back when I was there visiting, and she saw the whole thing happen on 9/11, and she said she was in therapy for like 4 or 5 years, some shit like that. Just from being at a distance, seeing something happen to people she didn't even know, but yet she was connected to them,
I'll fuck you up, dude. I'll fuck you up.
Yeah, people are afraid to go outside, afraid to go to concerts. Like, I was going to go to Ohio State Buckeyes game this Saturday, and I mean, I would like to think that there's pretty good security there, but I would also like to think that we had 22,000 people at this weekend show, and you don't know. Like, I feel so, like, my heart is so heavy because I posted on Facebook that day, like, love has to win. And for love to win, it's going to take our generation, and it's going to take my son's generation to continue to learn from the mistakes that we make. And the UK and Australia both had like mass murderings that prompted them to change the way they do business and change the way they live and change the way that they allow people to purchase guns. And they're like 1 and 2 on the list, the least amount since then. So, like, I don't know what the answer is. I think we live in still the most amazing country in the world, and we're going through some tough times. But I like the conversation I had today with a couple of people. Like, they're freaking out and yelling at me, and I'm like, listen, like, I don't know the answer, but I want my son to grow up and feel safe. I want him to be able to go to like places and be safe. I don't know.
And live life. Yeah. This whole situation compels me to just do more research, be more aware of what's happening, like on both sides. Like, I want to know both sides' opinion. I want to, it compels me to be more aware, be more cognizant of what's happening. Instead of just.
I just think like the first step is to have a consistent law.
Mm-hmm.
There should be no. That was the one thing I noticed when I was reading through all these Constitution amendments about guns, and they're like, well, in this court case we ruled this way, and in this one we ruled this way, and I'm like,
well, man,
there should be no like gray area. It's just over half the states don't even require you to have any type of registration for your gun.
Yeah.
And I have friends that were like, well, if I was there, and I had my gun, I'm like, you wouldn't have done anything because you had a handgun and he was shooting you from over almost 500 yards away. You would have been lucky to even see where it was coming from.
Yeah.
And that's such a stupid and ignorant thing to say. Because at that moment, people stepped up and took care of each other and were helping people to safety and driving people. And to Caleb's point, like, they're going to be scarred for life. And those are the people that made it out. Those are the people that didn't lose loved ones. Those are the people that didn't lose, people that they love and that are close to them, and friends and family. And I don't know.
I just don't want people. I just don't want people to be dismissive of conversations like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you gotta
at least have the conversation. That's exactly right.
You gotta be fucking open to this shit, man. You can't just shut down just because you think someone leans a certain way. You're just like, oh, fuck them. They don't know what they're talking about. No, you gotta be open. You gotta be.
I'm very upfront with the fact that I don't know what I'm talking about. So, like, don't take this the wrong way. I'm not an expert. I tried to do is, like, since this happened, I've been on the internet. I'm probably on some sort of government watch list because I'm just searching things like, how many guns can I have? How do I get a gun? How do you, like, I search, how do I make my gun automatic? Like I'm probably on a watch list. But what I will tell you is I do all that because I'm like, why is this so easy? Like, that information is out there and it's readily available to anyone that wants that information, they can get it. So it blows my mind. Like, I promise you, this is not, my voice is nothing, but as a group, we have a voice, and we can talk about outlawed forms of thinking and the founding fathers who they did the best they could with the information they were given. Well, it's 230 years later. Like, we can do better, and we should.
I just want to apologize to Caleb to being on this podcast of such a serious, weighty moment.
Yeah. Well, I'd rather it be Caleb than who we were gonna have.
No, like,
anyone else.
This situation really. Okay, take it back to last year when everything happened in Orlando. I was on a job in San Diego. I was working 15, 16-hour days. And I didn't really have time to comprehend what was going on. And 2 days after it happened, I walked in my hotel room, had my food, and this was at I getting off work around 10:30 that night, something like that. David was already in bed. I didn't even get to talk to him. And I turn on the TV and it turns on the news, and it starts. Obviously it was all over everything, and it starts talking about, it was showing screenshots of text messages, and it was text messages from this guy to his mom saying, "Mom, they're in the club shooting. I'm probably not going to make it out. I just want to tell you I love you," and stuff like that. The moment that I saw those screenshots, it literally changed my entire everything. Because I called my mom, bawling my eyes out, because I told her, I was like, if I just moved from Orlando back in 2012, had I been there, had I still been in Orlando, I would have been at the club that night because of the 3 performers who performed there that night.
Yeah.
So, to think, put it all into perspective like that, and then, the next weekend or the weekend after that, David and I went to the bars, and we both were very hesitant to even get out of the car and walk in.
Yeah.
Because there's still beatings that happen in the neighborhood in Dallas. There was 16 attacks last year, just because. So it's living in Texas, where there are a lot of people who hate my kind. At that time, it wasn't. It was very frightening. So to think that. Just a little over a year later, something even more massive can happen. It is mind-boggling, and it's really, really heartbreaking.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much hate in this world, and I've received it, and I'm not ashamed to say that I've delivered it, and my son won't grow up that way. And I remember driving to Ohio, my son was asleep, and I was listening to a couple podcasts, and if you've not seen the video of Jimmy Kimmel talking about it, and he's crying because he's politicians are so quick to say, they want to cover it up. They're like, well, now's not the time to talk about it, and they cover it in the we should be mourning the people that are lost. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I understand that, but now is the perfect time to talk about it. And there will never be a better time until we wait until the next time, and then the next time. And I'm like crying because Jimmy Kimmel, that's exactly what he said. Is like, no, I think now is a good time to talk about it. And, love is so much easier. And I said that, I think, on our very first podcast, like, love is so easy. It's a natural. Hate is something we learn. You're not born with hate. You're born with love. And, we develop hate and we breed hate. And I think not all gun ownership, but, some of this gun ownership is bred from hate and fear. And fear, drives us to do things that we're not comfortable with. But this nonsense where, like, this isn't a terrorist attack, I'm not going to hear it. This is a terrorist attack. We should treat it that way. Not all terrorists are brown and have beards. Like, that's not a real thing. So, I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, I knew going into this. I told Bernie the other day I was, like, real hot about this. And, like, I was more hot that day. I've calmed down a little bit since then because it's 2017. You can't even, like... I don't even know. Like, I watch so many YouTube videos, people capturing everything on video camera. And yeah, like, how does this happen? How does this guy again, we're talking about a seemingly poster child perfect person. So if that happens with him, there are thousands and possibly millions, tens of thousands of people out there that aren't mentally stable who own guns and should be taken off of, or should be put on some sort of list. But I don't know, man. I'm just, again, my heart goes out to those people. My thoughts go out to those people because it didn't affect me in a direct way other than just being so just devastated for them. But I don't know. I could literally ramble on and on about it. I immediately, like, to Bernie's point, I wanted to do research, and I'm going to continue to do research, and I'm going to finish this paper because nobody's going to read it probably, but for me, it's understanding how did we get here. And right now, currently in Congress, there's a law that's about to be passed that would legalize the purchase of silencers. Like, why the fuck do you need a silencer? Like, I don't understand that. So, like, I'm just so blown away. We made a law back in, like, I don't even know, it doesn't matter, but it expired in like 2014 or 2004. I can't remember the exact date, and it was you couldn't buy semi-automatic rifles. I think it was 2014. Since then, we've had over 100 different bills get shut down to try to make it also illegal again. So at one point we did it, and we can do it again. And we can make more restrictions and it harder for some of these mentally unstable people to get guns. And I think, I'm not trying to take anybody's guns away. I would be afraid to anyways. But, like, I think we all, like, even gun owners, it's making like, if I see somebody with a gun, I'm afraid. I don't know. It's tough.
It is. It's tricky, man.
I think
it's gonna take people...
You'll start seeing more security. We'll beef up things like that. We'll be reactive to that, and there's no reason why that Mandalay Bay hotel doesn't have. That place is huge, and it was right over top of that venue. But places like the Super Bowl, for instance. Shift gears a little bit. I'm really excited about this year's Super Bowl because Justin Timberlake's performing, so that's going to be fantastic. Places like that, you couldn't do that there, and there's more people there. So, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think I really hope, and I'm really rooting for Donald Trump in this situation, President Trump, because I think he has an opportunity to. I don't think things are gonna change like that fast, but I think conversations will be had at least, and that's the first step.
For that individual, I don't have that much hope. like you did.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I do hope for the best, but man, Jesus.
I mean, he did say they were going to talk about gun control, but I mean, what else was he going to say? They asked him that question probably a million times. So
Yeah.
This is the guy who threw out rolls of paper towels like they were T-shirts.
He's just tossing them like a T-shirt gun. Pa-doom, pa-doom, pa-doom. You get paper towels, and you get paper towels. They're like, man, I'm real hungry because I haven't eaten in like 3 weeks. But I'll take these paper towels and trade them for food.
Well, how do you guys want to end this on a lighter note? I mean, this is definitely a serious topic, but
yeah.
I mean, rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Yeah, I just felt like it was something that I needed to talk about personally, I guess. I don't know.
Well, it's even nice to hear somebody else talk about it other than just me and David, you know what I mean? Because, I try my best when I'm on the road, when I'm around people that I don't know, or even when I'm with people that I do know, I try to stay as far away from politics as possible, you know? But in situations like this, it's just, it is fucked up. And at what point do we got to get to before, it's already too late.
Yeah. Yeah, we're being reactive. We're just reacting. And like you said, the security's going to beef up and shit like that, but for how long? I go through airports all the time. Dude, no airport, like none of them do the same shit. Yeah.
All their security stuff is all, like, they may have the thing where y'all stand like this, but their procedures all, like, I have an audio device that I carry with me, and I've been stopped at numerous airports for it, and I've been stopped, and I've not been stopped at numerous airports. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all just depends on who's working that day and who gives a shit.
Yeah, and nobody's forgotten 9/11. Like, that happened, and and things like that happened. And we're listen to the Jimmy Kimmel video because it's such a great point. And like, even he's like, listen guys, like, I want to come out here and be funny. I want to come out here and tell jokes, but I can't stand up here in a position that I have and not stand up for this. And I appreciate that because he's got a big voice. We have small voices, and it's good to see that like people are having that conversation and people are basically forcing, and not that Trump listens to anybody, but like forcing the issue and forcing the conversation to at least be had. But I'm be very quick to say that I'm not a person that thinks everybody's gun should be taken away. I think that it should be harder to get them, and you should have to work to keep them.
Yeah, you just want something done. Period.
Just something done. But I also don't think somebody should own 33 fucking weapons in 1 year. Like, what? Or ever. But I don't know. Again, that's coming from like 3 people right here. I don't know about Bernie, but like Caleb said, he doesn't have a gun. I had guns when I was little. They're not in this house. I don't keep guns around crew. Like, that's not a normal. I found myself, I had to stop myself because he was playing the Wii at my mom's house, and she has like the duck hunt gun, and like in my head I'm like, I don't even want him to have that, and I'm like, all right, calm down.
Calm down, man. Like,
I don't know. They upgraded the duck hunt gun. It looks like it's orange. It looks like a real gun or whatever. And I'm like, he's 5. I'm not gonna like have this heart to heart with him because he's not gonna remember. But I mean, that's something as we get older, I'll explain to him. Just like, he asked me now, like, Dad, why don't you go to church anymore? And I've not had that conversation with him because I want him to make those decisions for himself. But I also want him to grow up understanding that hate is hard. It's hard to maintain. It's hard to have. And it's so much easier going through life with love and loving everybody, regardless of what they believe in or, who they identify as or like whatever. Like, it's so much easier to do that because then I'm only worried about myself. Then I only have to worry about how I live my life, and I don't have to worry about how other people live their life. So anyways, that's why I wanted to have this conversation because I think hopefully some of our listeners can relate, and I'm hoping that some of them have been having similar thoughts, and I'm sure there's people on the far right side that are like, oh man, they're going to try to take my guns. I'm sure there's people on the left that are like, man, we need to take their guns, and everybody can agree, hopefully, that what happened in Las Vegas was a tragedy, and that if it could have been prevented, then let's figure out a way so that it doesn't happen again. So that a year from now we're not experiencing the third part in the trilogy. Actually, it goes way back. I don't even want to be disrespectful by that, because that same night there was 5 people that got shot in Nebraska. We didn't even hear about that because it didn't even make a blimp, because almost 600 people got shot. So people die every day. I don't even forget about that. But so I feel like we can all agree that there are some atrocities happening, and if adjusting gun laws is a way to fix it, I'm on board. If you have a different solution, I'll hear it, I'll listen to it, and I think it's more important than ever now to be heard. And if more people are talking, then maybe things will get done. Maybe not.
I don't know how true it is. I follow UberFacts on Instagram, and they posted that it read, "Today is the 274th day of the year. Last night's occurrence was the 273rd gun attack or something like that of this year."
Jeez.
I don't know how true that is, but to even put a statement out there like that, that's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't necessarily know that there's a positive way to end this. Other than, I'm real excited. I'm glad that you and I got to get a little face-to-face time, Caleb. I have missed you.
Yes.
It's been far too long. Do you ever come to this area when you travel?
Not for work, I don't. The closest I've gotten to that area would be probably Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
And that was last year, and that was the first and only time I was ever up that way.
Yeah.
Well, I will say that we will invite Caleb back for some more episodes. I make this invitation to everybody because I just like talking to my friends, for sure.
Absolutely.
And I am glad you came on tonight, Caleb. And
thanks for having me. I had a good time.
And we had a good conversation.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out a reunion time.
Yes, we'll all be in contact about that. So,
Yes.
but this is probably a good time to end it, and a lot to think about. So
Yes, sir.
are you guys good to end it?
Stop the recording.
All right.
Let's do it.